Whether you're assigned a story or find one on your own, how do you make sure it's going to be the best story it can possibly be? One word: planning. In this video, we're going to discuss some of the major steps involved in taking a story from start to finish. Let's use golfing as an example for this video. In order to tell an effective story, you have to know your subject, and that requires research. Both the internet and libraries can be a great source of information. If you know where the site of your shoot is going to be, you should definitely look it up. And if you have time, you should even do a site survey so that you have eyes on the location that you're going to be shooting at. After you've researched your topic and the location of your shoot, you should try and conduct a pre-interview if possible. A pre-interview is where you talk to the subject of your story before you actually interview them during the shoot. The pre-interview can be a great opportunity to find out information about the story that you might not have been able to get online or at the library.
Hey, can I speak to Chris, please? Hi, how are you doing today?
The research, pre-interview, and site survey will give you a good gauge of the direction you want your story to take. It'll also help you plan out the audio and video that you want to get during your shoot. Here at the Defense Information School, we use something called a storytelling strategy worksheet. But whether you're using that or something similar to it, you want to go through the same steps before you actually go out and shoot your story. So what is the storytelling strategy? It's the plan for your story. The first thing that you're going to want to do is develop a name and a commitment for your story. With the golfing story, I'm going to simply name it Miniature Golf. Easy enough, right? Commitments can be a little harder to choose, but they're going to help keep you focused. Commitments are generally anywhere from 3 to 10 words and follow the actor-action-recipient format. Somebody does something. Remember that your commitment should be something that you can stick to and something that you can prove. Some examples are Lance rotates tires, Eric rides his bike, and Teresa bakes cookies for her class. And while you don't need to stay away from ambiguous words like likes, hopes, and love, remember that they're very hard to prove. It's much easier to show that somebody makes something than it is to show that somebody loves something. So if you choose a word like hopes or likes, remember, you need to prove it. Because from now on, every single word you write, every single shot that you envision should all tie back to helping you prove your commitment. With the miniature golf story, let's make my commitment. Chris plays miniature golf. That's what I'm going to be trying to show. Now it's time to pre-visualize the video and audio that you'd like to get. You should write out ideas for your opening shot, closing shot, key sequences, and any audio that you'd like to gather while out on your shoot. The opening and closing shots are the two most important shots in your story. The opening shot should draw your audience in and make them want to watch your story, while the closing shot should leave them with a lasting, memorable image. For the miniature golf story, I'm going to try and get a shot of Chris placing the golf ball down for the opening shot and a shot of the golf ball going into the hole for the closing shot. I'm going to try and frame these in a unique, pleasing way that's going to make them really pop out. Some other shots and sequences that I might want to get are of Chris taking a swing with his putter, the ball going through obstacles, and of course, Chris's reaction as the ball either goes into the hole,
yes sir,
or misses it completely. Well, all done, right? Not even close. You don't want to forget about audio, which is just as important as video. You should be collecting audio separately from your video and not just hoping that you get it. Make sure that you write down some sounds that you'd like to get that will help support your commitment. Some of the audio that I'm hoping to get with my miniature golf story is the sound of the club as it whooshes through the air, the sound of the club hitting the ball, the sound of a ball dropping into the hole, and also Chris's murmurs of either happiness
that's going to be good,
or dismay, depending on how well he plays. Once I have these shots and sounds planned out, I'm going to use this as a checklist throughout my shoot to help keep me on track. At this point, there's just a few more things that you can do before you're ready to shoot your story. First of all, you could start writing your lead. Since you already know what your story is about and the direction that you want to take, writing it should be relatively easy. Some people also begin to write their stories. Just remember that it might need minor tweaking at a later point. At this point in the game, all we're doing is planning, and everything is dependent upon how it goes out at the shoot. And if you're one of those people that doesn't like to write your script ahead of time, that's fine, but you should still be taking some notes. Things like questions for your interviews or keywords or sentences that you'd like to use when writing your script. All of this might seem like a lot of work for not even having shot your story yet. But what you're doing is preparing to make this the best story that it can possibly be. Those that don't prepare for their story aren't doing it justice and are only relying on luck. And now it's time to shoot your story.
All right, how's it going?
Good to finally meet you in
Nice
person.
to meet you.
Don't forget to introduce yourself to your subject when you first arrive at your shoot location if you haven't already met them face to face. And take a little time to put them at ease. You should also set aside your gear for a while and just get a feel for the place. Assess the lighting, find different locations to shoot from, and watch your subject for any patterns that they might have. While you're on your shoot, there are 3 things that you're trying to get: video, audio, and interview. It doesn't matter what order that you get them in, as long as you get them all. Once you're done with your shoot, it's time to finalize your script, narrate it, and edit it together. Make sure that you use something other than your camera mic to narrate your story so that you get clean, clear, crisp audio that'll match your interview.
Time and time again.
Once you begin editing, there are some basic steps you should follow. While each person develops their own editing style, the fundamentals are the same. The first thing that you should do is lay down your narration and your interview.
Around, I still come out and play putt-putt all the time. And
this is the foundation of your story, and everything else should be built on top of it. After you've done that, you can begin laying in the supporting video and audio. Always lay down a rough cut of your story as quickly as possible. An empty sequence is the equivalent of a blank piece of paper to a writer. Both can be very daunting. It's better to lay it down, see it, and tweak it than try and perfect it from the beginning. And that's it. You now have a finished story, and it's sure to be great. The average serious golfer aims to drive a ball over 200 yards. And while Chris does occasionally like to whack a ball the length of a few football fields,
I'm not very good at all at real golf.
he's happier when he hits it just a few short feet.
I enjoy more coming out and playing putt-putt, and oddly enough, I take it pretty seriously. Well, my dad was in the military, and so we would move around like all the time, but everywhere we moved, we would always go out and find this putt-putt place. And after a while, it kind of started to feel like whenever you were at that putt-putt course, wherever you were in the world, still felt like you were at home.
So while the brightly colored balls and loopy obstacles might just mean another day of fun for other people, for Chris, every time he hears the sound of that neon ball falling into the hole, he feels like he's hearing the sound of home. Reporting for AFN,
Well, get in the hole.
I'm Army Sergeant Teresa Coble.
That's a 2.